何不必？因为不怕。为何不怕？不怕，就是不怕。お前はもう死んでいる。
What's going on, guys? K-Dub here with another episode of Crypto Zombie. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day today. Now, Bitcoin, despite the FUD, despite the banking crisis, despite this Restrict Act that could potentially get passed, is still attempting to push on these highs. Now, obviously, we're not able to break, and you can see right here, we did kind of have a little bit of a fake out, so this does have some people worried. Maybe there just isn't enough interest to get Bitcoin above those levels. However, it is quite interesting how right now, we have seen Bitcoin maintain this upward sloping trend right here. We did have this fake out right here, and boom, we came back above it, and we are right here. I mean, there is literally only maybe a couple hours, a couple days. I mean, by this Friday, guys, we're going to be right here at this absolute apex. And what's interesting is you've seen people come out like Michael Burry, all right, whether or not he's trolling, saying that he was wrong. Jim Cramer, who still actually thinks that Bitcoin is being manipulated, but actually had some positive words to say about it. It is pretty crazy. So is there a sentiment shift actually happening? Well, this is insane. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Elizabeth Warren is building an anti-crypto army. This is from her official page, and this is part of her slogan for what she's promising if she gets reelected. Look, Elizabeth Warren is building an anti-crypto army. This is part of her actual advertising campaign. This is really insane. So obviously we do have a lot of pushback in one hand, but we also have a lot of positives on the other hand. And I do want to discuss one thing that absolutely could send the price of Bitcoin skyrocketing, okay? And I know it seems like a dark, dismal time. There's been a lot of negative news, but stick around to the end. I think you'll appreciate it. So that being said, guys, today's video is going to be a little bit quicker, hopefully, and we're going to get straight to it. If you're having a great week, if you're enjoying all these updates, drop a like, drop a comment, get subscribed, because I think we are in for a ride quite soon, guys. So again, you can see right here, we are sort of being held down by this area. Now, we are at the higher end of this blue zone, right? If I zoom out here, we can see the significance of this area, and I said anything outside the blue zone is super ultimate, definitely buy the dip. Anything above the blue zone is kind of it might be getting a little bit overheated, right? Now, just to kind of start off with the negative, I don't want to be negative, but you can see that we are getting a little bit high on the fear and greed index, right? Now, we know that historically, when we come down to these levels, if I go to the past year, I actually got to go a little bit, we got to go a little bit farther than that, actually. You can see the last time that we were up around these levels was, arguably sometime in, March of 2022. And of course, if we go back to March of 2022, we have, April, where's March? March is right here, guys. So, obviously, this right here is a little bit concerning. Sorry, guys, just had to readjust my screen. I realized that it was off. My bad. Anyway, so we could see right here that we were a little bit at the, this is where we were having that fear and greed hit that top, and we did have that pullback. So we were hitting a major downward sloping resistance, and you can see that we are hitting a previous support, possibly flipping resistance as well. So I'm just saying to just take a little bit of caution moving forward on this. But, if we do have this breakout, you can see we did have the retest, then yes, that does make our next target about $31,000 roughly. It's actually closer to $39,870, but basically $31,000. And at that point, I would start becoming a little bit more cautious. By the way, guys, if you do want to learn how to trade, make sure you check out the tutorial popping up above and get subscribed to the channel specifically. I don't give financial advice, but I do show you what I'm looking at. And look, the same way that we started to see this selling on the wave edge right here, you can see that's when Bitcoin price took that dip from around almost 24,000 all the way back down to low 20K right here, right? So essentially what we're seeing is something quite similar where we are seeing whales start to take a little bit of profit. And, we are potentially maybe starting to be a little bit overbought on this RSI right here. And there is that potential that we get a wave, from green into the purple. So this would signal to me that maybe potentially the markets might need to cool off just a little bit, but it doesn't mean that we can't have that next push to the next high, right? It doesn't mean we can't go to 32,000 first, but then I think you might see some profit taking and you might see us retest some of those previous resistances, but I'm still anticipating an uptrend and I still maintain bullish sentiment until something changes, right? obviously having a look at the dollar has not been doing quite well. The dollar peaked out up here at around 114 and has now fallen all the way down to 102. Now, it did have a little bit of a bounce right here, but if the dollar falls below this $100 100 level, then yeah, I mean, at that point, we may end up actually, even though it's on its upward sloping trend, but, it could end up starting to put in lower highs, and that would not be too good for the dollar, which is obviously why we're seeing what we're seeing. Now, I retweeted this. Actually, I didn't retweet it. I took a screenshot because Michael Burry, the guy from The Big Short, he always deletes all of his tweets. He literally keeps them up for like a couple hours and then takes them down. You can see just this morning, he says, "I was wrong to say sell." Now, some people are saying maybe he's trolling. Maybe he is. Who knows? He has a history of being sarcastic. But you could say, maybe he should unblock me. The big admission. Good job. I only listen to my own gut. Next up, Kramer. That's hilarious. That, who is this that said this? Mango Arrest 69. That is so funny that you said this, because I actually was going to talk about Kramer, because even though Kramer said, Jim Kramer, which, by the way, if you guys don't remember, let's see. Look at this chart right here. Look at this chart. This is literally where Kramer said, "Good chance again to get out of crypto and scale out of Chinese stocks, as neither can be trusted." And we know what happened to both of those. But nevertheless, he did come out recently and said that even though he thinks Bitcoin is being manipulated, he said Bitcoin is a rebellion against the system. So, guys, Michael Burry, Jim Kramer, starting to get bullish. What does that mean, right? So, well, it does mean we could be getting overheated, but as Seth pointed out over on Twitter, Bitcoin versus US interest rates, there is a probability that, like in 2018, when we got a pause in the US interest rates, then Bitcoin starts to trend up. The market is pricing in a Fed rate pause in May. Are you ready for a HTF uptrend? So basically, you're noticing that this time it's not having as big of an effect, right? And we did have Powell coming down to 25. Now, some people are saying, well, what happens if he does another 25? To be honest, at this point, what is another 25 basis points? What is it really at this point? I mean, if the markets have not been hit hard enough and they are still starting to move to the upside and call out their bluff, then let's be honest, I don't think another 25 is really going to do much. And after that, I don't think they're going to be able to keep raising it. Okay? Unless they want to just completely obliterate the entire system. And it's bad enough because you're already seeing the BRICS move away from the dollars. You're already seeing these countries, as we've been talking about, saying we're going to settle our oil, trades in, this or that, not the dollar, right? So it's already looking quite bad for Powell and friends and the US, unfortunately. So I do think that at some point we are going to see that pause, and then we could see that move. And like Khalil pointed out, he says he could see Bitcoin having one last dip before ripping past 30K. And I'm like 50-50 on the fence with this. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what's going to happen. It's just a matter of probabilities. It does seem that it would make sense to have that fake out. But I mean, if you think about it, all of these whales, or bear whales, I should say, these big bears who've been waiting for the opportunity, they've been shorting, they've been getting wrecked, they've been getting liquidated, they've been waiting for lower prices, they've been calling for 10K Bitcoin, 50, whatever, and it's never gone back. So, on this channel, at some point we were going against the grain. We were. And for everyone who was following, thank you for supporting and sticking around. I only tell you guys what I see. And I just felt like there was too much bearishness, and we had seen it before. We'd seen this manipulation before, right? Every time Bitcoin starts to do well, all the FUD comes out and they try to pull the train back, right? Well, you can only pull it back so far. Like Galaxy Digital CEO Mike Novogratz talked about, and this was in his Galaxy Digital earnings, he said, I'd say it again, Bitcoin and Ethereum have been the best risk-adjusted investments over 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, this year to date, and retail gets it. Now, although it's been a little uncertain with the regulatory environment when it comes to institutions, yes. Do we need institutional money to keep Bitcoin alive? No. Do we need institutional money to send Bitcoin to new all-time highs? Yes, kind of. Yeah, we do. Because we've already exhausted pretty much all of the retail and the majority of the institutions on the previous run, right? So if you want to get those bigger players in, yes, we do need regulatory clarity. But right now, we're seeing the majority of this move be pushed by retail. Now, I have seen some on-chain data that also suggests that whales are buying. So who knows what institutions are doing on the, in the background. Maybe they're not reporting it. You really think these guys on Wall Street are not buying? At least for their own personal, I think they are. But he says the market feels strong. And when I look at it technically on charts, we've had big weekly closes. I'm surprised to hear myself say this given where my mindset was in late December, but it would not surprise me if we were substantially higher 3 months, 6 months, 9 months from now, right? He says this is crypto's moment. Crypto was in a lot of ways created for this point, right? Satoshi Nakamoto way back in 2009 worried about the breakdown of the legacy financial system. He worried about populism infecting our politics and constant printing of fiat currencies, a debasement of money, and hence Bitcoin was created. So, I don't want to see the collapse of the US and the dollar. I mean, obviously I live here, I don't want to see that, but at the same time, these situations are actually what Bitcoin was truly created for, right? So that's just something worth noting. And, even though we're having a lot of the pushback, which we'll get to in a minute, you do have Crypto Council for Innovation advisor Sean Lee saying that fair treatment of the crypto industry is possible in the United States. It is possible. It'll take a lot of work, and usually implementation comes after a massive crisis. Well, guess what we're having right now? I guess this is him speaking over at the WOW, whatever it was. But he said there was a lot of education that needed to be done, and this is why organizations such as the Crypto Council for Innovation are trying to achieve this goal of basically educating, right? There's a lot of uneducated people in this space, like our good old friend Mrs. Warren, which we'll get to in a minute. The council is striving for dialogue with politicians to help them understand where things are going, et cetera, et cetera. So here it is right here. This is the Elizabeth Warren proposes, and you can see it says that she's one of the most influential politicians. She's launching her re-election campaign, and she's focusing on building a crypto army. And, you cannot make this up. I mean, this is building an anti-crypto army. Like this is one of the foundational pillars of her re-election strategy. And sadly enough, there's a lot of people that are going to side with her on this. Now, this is crazy. And if you think about it, it's one of the worst ideas ever. I've even heard recently, and I haven't done a lot of AI on this channel, that they're trying to push back on the AI. Now, look, I've seen the movie Terminator enough times to know that we need to be careful when it comes to AI. But at the same time, stifling innovation in any of these technological areas is only going to hold back our country. It's not going to stop other countries from, working and building. And you're even seeing a lot of crypto companies moving across seas, right? You're seeing Coinbase and Gemini now looking to offer other services across seas. So this is obviously not good for the crypto space. And on top of that, we also have just this constant sort of money hungry, let's just find them. Let's just slap them on the wrist. Let's just take their money. Gary Gensler has thrown his support behind Biden's request to allocate a $2.4 billion funding for the regulator, highlighting the ongoing need to crack down on misconduct in the crypto industry. There's misconduct everywhere, guys. It's not just in crypto. The additional funding would allow the SEC to hire 170 additional staff, most of whom would work within its enforcement and examination division. Gensler again described crypto as the Wild West, suggesting that the industry is rife with non-compliance. Okay, I gotta stop here. Rife with non-compliance. Okay, how can you be rife with non-compliance when you're not making compliance clear, right? It's like the CEO of Coinbase said, it's like changing the rules mid-game, or having a referee for soccer coming over to a football game, but then using the rules from rugby. You know what I'm saying? You have to make the playbook clear. And you saw the chief legal officer of Coinbase reaching out multiple times. I think they had 30 different examples in which they reached out to the SEC, which, by the way, approved them for the services several years back. So they knew what they were approving, okay? Said, hey, how can we fix this? How can we do what we need to do? How can we play by the rules? Every single time they were met with a cold shoulder, a non-response, right? So come on, guys, rife with non-compliance, tell us how to comply. You understand? So the crypto investors, that just had a little bit of rant there. And the crypto investors were putting their hard-earned assets and risky, highly speculative assets. But again, What does it all come down to, right? In fiscal year 2022, 750 enforcement actions resulted in orders for $6.4 billion in penalties and disgorgement. 30 of these actions were related to the crypto industry, which resulted in $242 million in monetary penalties and represented a 36% increase over the 22 actions announced in 2021. So again, if we keep it vague, if we don't make the rules clear, then we can just keep slapping people with penalties and fines, and they'll just keep paying them, right? Because if not, then they'll have to take us to court. We'll have to drag it out. It's going to cost even more money. And like a lot of these celebrities, you saw Lindsay Lohan and, I think it was Logan Paul or Jake Paul, whoever it was, basically they're hitting them with $400,000, which is a lot for most people, but these celebrities have the money and they're just like, okay, here you go. We'll just pay it. Because it's easier that way, right? So, nevertheless, guys, I do want to just end on a positive note. You are seeing the world wake up. And there was a group of people, there's a video actually, I don't have the video, and they're like having like a little DJ session in the street, and they're shining this study Bitcoin sort of bat signal light on the European Central Bank building. So I thought it was really cool. You saw the buy Bitcoin in front of the Silvergate Bank collapsing SVB, and now you're seeing this shine, and I just think, the world is waking up again. And, again, is it a good time to buy Bitcoin? Well, historically speaking, again, I know I keep ending on this CBBI chart, but we're only at around a 22% on the CBBI of historical areas in which you would want to sell. So even if you consider the fact that we might have had a fake out right here and only got up to about 83%, we didn't quite get to the top on the last one, with diminishing returns, even if you think we're only going to get to 60, 70%, 22%, I mean, you could sit around, you could wait. Maybe you'll get an opportunity to buy Bitcoin at 13,000. I don't know. Maybe these guys are right. Maybe we will flash crash to 10K. But the probabilities seem unlikely. And historically speaking, it does seem like the odds are in your favor purchasing at these levels, not financial advice. That's enough for me today, guys, because I said today's video was going to be short. And, I guess this is short for a Crypto Zombie video. But what are you going to do, guys? That's it for me. Thanks for coming back to the channel. You guys rock. You're the reason that I make these videos. I do believe that we're going to see some crazy price action. Actually, right now, look at this. We're starting to push down, guys. So we're going to have a big move happening. It could be happening soon. Obviously, the next area of interest is 26,500 to the low side. But then, of course, to the high side, we have this pivot over here up around 32K. So lots of volatility imminent, guys. And then we'll finally get some confirmation over here on these charts. But I do think we're going to have a nice setup for a move. And I still remain bullish. Honestly, like even if we dip down to some of these lower levels, I still think the uptrend remains intact unless something crazy happens. Like, if the Reserve Act gets passed, or they outlaw VPNs or self-custody wallets, or they ban Bitcoin, which I don't think is going to happen. But if that happens, then yes, obviously there's going to be a major sell-off. But, as far as the technicals are concerned, we are a little bit overheated. We could be due for a pullback, but I still think that the overall trajectory, bouncing is going to be still to the upside. So that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much for coming back to the channel. Hope you guys appreciate this content. Get subscribed. Also, I'm going to be over on the Debate Crypto channel today around 3 p.m. Eastern time. Follow me on Twitter if you want. I usually retweet over there, and then you guys can hop on over and follow me over there. I'll be doing some live chatting about everything and, going over some of these charts again. So that's it for me again. If you guys like this kind of content, obviously dropping a like helps to push this out to other people so they could see it. And if you do want to watch some of these tutorials, which I have worked very hard on to provide to you for free, I do recommend you check them out right here, right now. Until next time, stay crypto, and of course, peace out.